Hi, fun seekers. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. If you're new to the podcast, I need to forewarn you about today's episode. Today's episode is unlike most all the episodes that we've had thus far, which is over 100. However, from time to time, we will have a very special show that, I would say is very different from your typical podcast or even radio show. The 100th episode of this program is an example, or the time when I interviewed your favorite character caller. This episode is in the same genre. So again, if you're new to the show, please understand that what we're going to be doing today is out of the norm. Most of the episodes on this podcast are conference messages that were recorded live, interviews, monologues, first chapters of books, etc. So what are we going to do today? Well, almost every year I do a survey on my blog readers and subscribers to my periodic updates. The periodic updates, as most of you know, go out 4 to 6 times a year. Let me give you a profile of the average subscriber to the blog and the periodic update. The average subscriber is between the ages of 25 and 45. Many of them are in their 30s. A large percentage of them have been to college. A large percentage of them are entrepreneurs of some sort. Many of them are well-read, and the vast majority of them have read at least 4 books that I myself have written. Quite a number of them are leaders in the Christian world. We have a lot of pastors who listen to the podcast, who read the blog, and are subscribed to the list. Most of them see that there is a shallowness in contemporary Christianity, both on the left and the right. And they are looking for something higher, deeper, that which their instincts tell them exists in the Lord, and that's why they're part of the deeper journey, which is the name of this ministry. So that is a psychological and logistical demographic of the subscribers. Well, I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, Frank, have you ever thought about getting a similar profile to your unsubscribers? Now, if you are someone who has a newsletter or a mailing list or a blog, from time to time you will have people who unsubscribe. And the idea that he was conveying is, who are the unsubscribers? We know who the subscribers are. We have an idea of their psychological and sociological profile. And by the way, most of the subscribers are from the United States or North America. And then from there, it's Canada, Australia, Europe, etc. So what if we dedicated a show only to the unsubscribers, people who have been subscribed to my newsletter, update list, or blog, and for whatever reasons unsubscribed? Many of you know this, but I'm being serviced on the other side of the glass by my personal manservant and board op, Jeffy. And many of you have already met Jeffrey from the 100th episode and my interview with your favorite character caller. Jeffy, how you doing over there?
What's going on? How you doing?
Well, Jeffy sent an email to all of the unsubscribers and said, would you like to be on Frank's podcast? And if so, here are the rules. You will receive a phone number, you will call in, and you have one shot. Say anything you want, but it must be brief. Hang up the phone. If you don't hang up the phone, we'll hang up on you and we'll go to the next caller. So today's show is going to feature all of the people who said yes to that proposal. And so we are going to open up the phones, and you are going to hear, and I'm going to hear for the first time, our unsubscribers. And the whole reason, and of course we did not tell them this, but the whole reason is to get an impression on the psychological and sociological profile and demographic of this slice of people who live on the planet. What is the psychological and sociological profile of our unsubscribers? And so that will be a question you yourselves will answer. And so, Jeffy, are we ready to go here? Jeffy's nodding his head in there behind the glass, and the Phenortner is now lighting up. And we're going to call this show Chat with Frank. Okay, let's take our first caller. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Saggy face.
Get him, son.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
You want to?
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
You want to say goodbye to Sophie?
It's your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hello. I'm Mr. Ed.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
I was watching a snail crawl across the edge of a razor.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hey, you tell the Lord go back to Russia.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hi, I was wondering if I could come over and help you push the button.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Have you been injured in an accident? Would you like to be injured in an accident? Do you know anyone who's been injured in an accident?
It's your turn to chat with Frank. Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
I think you're a Tommy Pinko faggot.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
I'm not wanted for anything, anywhere.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Yeah, well, you bet. Why not? Whenever you're ready. I think we'll have a good time.
It's your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
This has got to be a joke.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Whether you're coming home.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
I would like the extra large pizza with pepperoni and sausages and a large Coke.
It's your turn to chat with Frank. Get off my phone, you miserable subhuman. Oh! Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hello, this is Mr. Gumby.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Better hang up on me right now.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
I got a spare tire I'd like to get $3 for. I got an old fan. I paid $12. I'd like to get at least $3.50 for that. I got 3 pair of old overhauls. I'd like to get at least $2 a pair. 0057.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hello, Nelson. I was wondering if you would come over and help me with my suppository.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day.
I don't like that song. Now it's your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
Hello, Nelson.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
What about doing then? We're going to take over the world.
It's your turn to chat with Frank.
You turkey whack.
Your turn to chat with Frank. Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
Everything under the sun is in tune, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon.
Your turn to chat with Frank.
Faggot face. Faggot face.
It's your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
This is Bonnie from Dateline. I just wanted to say goodbye. You know, sometimes I can't make up my mind between the pasta and the veal. So usually I just have both.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank. Your turn to chat with Frank. Your turn to chat with Frank.
Happy days are here again.
Your turn to chat with Frank. It's your turn to chat with Frank.
I'd like to make a comment about some of these withered up old prunes calling in. I get paid under the table, so I'm not paying their Social Security. I'm not paying their way.
Santa, is that you? Now it's your turn to chat with Frank. Jeffy, can you hand me the kazoo, please? Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
God bless America.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
Never mind, I got them in my shelf.
Your turn to chat with Frank.
Yes, this is your turn to chat with Dan. Go ahead. Dan. Yes, go ahead.
Dan.
Yes, go ahead and chat.
I wanted to know about
You remember you were talking about that gun thing the other day, about the old lady that had the gun under her pillow?
Get to the point, please. Get to the point.
Okay, Dan, can you give me 1 minute?
Okay.
Okay, do you know that lady who kept the gun under her pillow?
Yes, I do.
How do you know she had a gun under her pillow?
I don't know that.
Get off my phone, Dan.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
I think you're a Tommy Pinko faggot.
Now it's your turn to chat with Frank.
Susquehanna sucks.
Your turn to chat with Frank.
I want my mommy.
Your turn to chat with Frank.
To the audience out there, I would just like to say to you, you are the lowest, disgusting, low-down rat that I've ever heard of. You call yourselves Christians, Bible readers, you are grandmothers, you are brothers, fathers, mother, and sister. And the foul language to call anybody is beyond all means. I'm ashamed of you people out there to call this man that has just tried to help open up your eyes to what's going on. Sense of humor, everything going. And this is the kind of people you are. You better get your Bibles out. You are sick people.
Jeffy has just sent me a note saying that he wants to play the 2 phone calls that came in from our disgruntled caller, who is also an unsubscriber. I guess that's an appropriate way to close the show, just adding to the profile of our unsubscribers to give us a better sketch of those individuals. Go ahead, Jeffy, play those, and we will close out the show with these 2 clips from the past. Whatever you do, behave yourselves, huh?
This call is from Austin, Texas. Austin, you're on the air.
Young man, let me tell you something right now. And I in my entire life have never heard such an outrageous, outlandish person on a show. You should be reported to the Chamber of Commerce or the FCC. I am going to write letters to the superiors.
Excuse me, sir, but what is it about me that's got you so very upset?
I fought for you, and I come back to this country, and what do I have to listen to? Some young hippie. Some young hippie such as yourself.
Have you actually seen my hair, sir? Usually grown men who shave their heads are not considered to be hippies.
I'm going to report you. I'm going to write to the manager, and you won't like it. You'll be very afraid.
That would be Mrs. Viola, Viola, Mrs. Viola. That's my mother. She's the manager.
You're making me scream, and you're making me scream and holler. Sir, why do you carry on in this manner? This is a very, very outlandish and monstrous tactic you're using. I'm going to write you a letter, and you will receive this letter, and you won't like it.
Jeffy, would you mind giving our caller some background music? I think you still have the kazoo there, don't you?
I'm going to write more than one letter. I'm going to write the Chamber of Commerce. I, too, will write the Chamber of Commerce, and the Chamber of Commerce will be flooded with letters.
Will you put a lot of kisses at the bottom of them?
I bet you have a surfboard, don't you? I bet you wear short cut-off jeans and sandals and beads and probably wear sunglasses all the time. And I bet you haven't shaved in 3 months.
It's actually closer to 3 years.
Oh! You continue to outrage us. I mean it. I'm serious. I'm threatening you now, sir. You've got me upset. I'll call the police. I swear I'll call the police. Do you want me to call the police on you?
Call the police. Oh, man.
You think by laughing that you're showing me that you're not afraid. I'm going to start right now. Have a bad night. Alice is listening, and she is not very appreciative of what you've been doing.
Who's not very appreciative?
My wife is very upset, and so am I. You've got no business talking about us this way. We go to the vegetable markets. I never squeeze fruit. I never squeeze fruit.
Sir, are you referring to my comment that most of the people who have unsubscribed to this blog are elderly?
You have no right speaking of this in this matter. And I've heard about you before in the trailer parks.
You mean my fame has spread to the trailer parks?
What's so funny about that? What is so funny about living in a trailer park?
Nothing, sir.
Are you on drugs, sir? I bet you use marijuana and all this kind of stuff.
Marijuana? No, sir. I've never tried marijuana. I even stopped drinking coffee.
And I've heard about the way you talk about our president, and I think it's a disgrace. I have never heard anyone lambaste the ministers and the nation such as this in my entire life, sir. Why don't you help the old people? Why don't you help us?
I'd be happy to help you out, sir. Which way did you come in?
Oh! Sir, I'm not going anywhere. You're in trouble now. You're in trouble now.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I need to take care of something. Oh! 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 Sometimes it's good to just bang your head against the wall. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program. Aww. Until next time, be good.